Hello and welcome to my third devlog about an RPG game that I'm currently working on. I've made quite some progress. Most of the changes I made this time are on the combat system and the graphics system. And I've also added the first boss into the game. The old combat system is kinda slow. It takes some seconds for you to queue up the skill, and that drives the games away from the intense combat pace that I wanted, so I removed it. And now you don't need to wait for the beats to queue up your skill, and the game won't pause when you switch on your realism mode. This increases your chance of messing up, but it should improve your combat experience, as a slow paced game is kinda boring, at least to me. You probably saw those notes dropping out when the creator uses the skill in my previous devlogs. Those notes are like some kind of energy that you consume to perform an attack, and you have to pick them up to retrieve your energy. Previously, they always drop in random directions, but now they will always drop toward your attack direction. Because I wanted to encourage a risky playstyle where you have to risk running through the enemies to retrieve those nodes instead of backing off and playing offensively. But I feel like running through the enemies without getting hit is kinda hard, so I added dashing. Now you can dash 3 times before your stamina runs out, and you have to wait for your stamina to heal up. There's no dashing animation yet, and it just teleports like that. It's kinda lame right now, so I added smear. Yeah, it's much better now. Kinda look like dashing in Celeste, but I don't care. Those are just some improvements to the player's combat system. For the enemy's combat system, I introduced projectiles. A projectile is just a moving object, but you can add properties to it. Like this property that makes a projectile bounce back on collision, or this one that split into 3 when collide. By using this projectile system, I can create all kinds of projectiles just by adding properties to them. A projectile property will run lines of code when the projectile triggers an event, like colliding walls, but they can also be updated every frame. I've also improved the pathfinding algorithm a bit, as there's still a bug that makes them run into walls like an idiot. The problem was that the monsters sometimes don't follow the path that I tell them to, like when they perform a certain attack that involves movement. Well, I used a more advanced pathfinding algorithm to fix this, and it works all good now. One cool thing I added is a tag system. Like, I can put tags on entities, and the tags can have different effects like burning, poison and stuff, but for now they just look cool. Made use of this by giving enemies an exclamation mark tag when they detect a player, and a question mark tags when they lost track of the player. But other than that, you can use them as emojis like. By the way, I added enemies pointer. This should help you find the enemies that are not in your vision range. I've also added the heads up display, so now your health points and your number of nodes should be displayed properly. This is the current design of the HUD, but I will probably change it in the future. About the graphics system, I've added some new systems so that later on I can use them to enhance the game feel. Yeah, like this dust particle effect, which was created with the new particle system. Pretty cool, right? Actually, it's not new, I just took that code from my previous game. Yeah, as expected from a lazy loser. I've also added some post-processing effects, like blurring, blooming, distortion and stuff like that. Yeah, I took them from my old game as well. I'm lazy, I know. But you know what? That's one of the most important skills in coding. You copy and paste. Well, you should understand the code though. Not because you feel guilty about it, but because it helps you use their code more efficiently. Just to make sure that this is fine though. Anyway, I made the skills and stuff glow with those post-processing effects, and it turns out to be pretty cool, right? The environment right now looks quite okay-ish, but I want it to look more lively somehow. And to make the environment look more lively, I made some improvement to the object renderer. For now, the only change is that the trees are being blown by the wind and swing back and forth. But other improvements like the leaves falling down when you hit the tree or any other movement and animations will be added soon. Well, I finished the basic system for implementing that, just the animations that aren't ready. The shrinking trees look quite amazing already, but it's still kinda repetitive, so I randomized some color factor and Yeah, it's much better now. One thing that bothers me is that the map hitbox is kinda weird. It sometimes blocks the player movement when it doesn't supposed to. So I have to go back to the map editor and rebuild the whole map. And of course, I have to upgrade the map editor a bit to avoid this bug when rebuilding it as well. Finally, I added the first boss to the game. Well, a boss is just like every other enemy, but it has a special behavior pattern and is also much harder to fight. I've also added a HUD that displays the boss health at the bottom of the screen. Right now the boss is kinda not interesting to fight, because I haven't actually finished the combat system yet. You can't actually damage them, nor they can damage you, which is freaking stupid. Alright, that's all for this devlog. Well, it's been a while but not many changes were made. I'm really sorry for that, but I've been really sick lately, so I can't make much progress. But it's fine now, I can finally get back on track. Okay, goodbye. Thank you for sticking up until the very end.